All right, welcome back for example 4A, using properties of parallelograms in a proof. So what we're given is that ABCD is a parallelogram. What does that mean? Oh, we have access to these four lovely theorems. All right. What we need to prove is that triangle AEB is congruent to triangle CED. Ooh, fun. So we're using triangle congruence, right? So remember to tell, how do you tell two triangles are congruent, right? There was like the definition of congruent triangles where you needed 6 pieces of information, or there was the cheat rules where you only needed 3. I'm saying let's use the cheat rules. So we're going to use the properties of a parallelogram to come up with 3 cheat rules, then to say that these triangles are congruent. Super fun. So remember the 3 all the cheat rules, right? Side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and HL. So I wonder which one we're going to use. What do you think? So AEB, so these triangles right here. So this triangle here, and this triangle here. What do you see? What do you see? Well, there's probably a couple different ways we could do this. One thing I see right off the bat is that these two are opposite sides, right? So if it's a parallelogram, we know that the opposite sides are, congruent. So that's going to be lovely. So how about we write that one? So the first thing I'm going to say is that the given is that ABCD is a parallelogram. Okay, that's given. Okay, and then we can say that AB is congruent to CD because why? Oh. If it's a parallelogram, then the opposite sides are congruent. Perfect. Okay. What else do we see? So we know that this side is congruent to that side, right? It looks like we have these lovely diagonals, right? And what do we know? We know that if it's a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other, which means that this side is congruent to this side, right? And also this side here is congruent to this side here. So we can say that AE is congruent to EC because if it's a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other, right? And we can also say that BE, line segment BE, is congruent to line segment DE. And what do we have? It looks like we have that these two triangles are congruent because of side, side, side. Ooh, that's fun. So please know that this might happen in your homework problems. And I think that we could figure it out a different way, right? Like if you did the whole diagonals thing and then you did vertical angles, those could have been 2 sassy triangles. Fun. Okay, so know that in your homework that all of that triangle congruent stuff can come back, okay? So just be aware. Don't forget about sassy and side to side and angle side angle and HL and all those lovely, wonderful things. Okay, on to 4B. Okay, what does 4B say? 4B says given GHJN and JKLM are parallelograms. So we have this parallelogram and this parallelogram, and then it says H and M are collinear. That just means they're on the same line. And N and K are also collinear, which just means they are on the same line. We need to find that angle H is congruent to angle M. So we're trying to find this angle here and this angle here. And that's really all we have. I mean, we have the parallelograms, right? So parallelograms, we know they're both in parallelograms. So we have, it unlocks the treasure box to all these lovely theorems, which is great. So what I'm going to say is just the given information first. GHJN and JKL, ooh, that sounded very good, L, M are parallelograms. Parallelograms. Okay, and that's given. Perfect. We need to prove H and M are congruent. What are we going to do? So those are angles, right? So what do we have? Okay, so it's not going to be this one. There's opposite angles are congruent, or really this one, consecutive angles are supplementary. Well, I don't know if that opposite angle would help us at all, but the consecutive angles, consecutive angles, what do we know about these? This is vertical angles. That means that these two angles are congruent. So if we go consecutive angles are supplementary, then these two angles are congruent to each other, which would mean by the, do you remember what it is? The congruent supplements theorem? If there's two angles that are supplementary to the same angle, then they're congruent to each other. So I think that's the route we're going to go. So let's go ahead and say that angle H is congruent to it's supplementary to HJN, this angle here. Angle H and angle HJN are supplementary. Okay, and because if it's a parallelogram, then consecutive angles are supplementary. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Angle M and angle MJK are supplementary, right? And then what do we know? We know that these two are congruent, right? By the, see, all this stuff comes back. These two are congruent because of the vertical angles theorem. And then we have to go back to, because these are both congruent to the same angle because they're the same because of the vertical angles, therefore they must, so since these are supplementary, right, to the same angle which is congruent to itself, then these must be congruent to each other. So we know that angle H is congruent to angle M by the congruence supplements theorem. Woohoo! All right, man. Blast from the past, congruent supplements theorem, vertical angles theorem. So you have to remember all these, right? Everything, this is like building upon everything that you've learned so far. Okay, check it out, example 4. This one is for you. So here's my friend, the pause dragon. Here, remind you to pause your device. Go ahead and work out this problem and check it out, example 4. When you get done, press play and we'll talk about it together. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, let's see how you did. So we have this GHJN, and JKLM. Those, we have two parallelograms, right? It says HM are collinear, just means they're on the same line. And NK are collinear. Ooh, this sounds familiar. We have to prove that angle N, okay, is congruent to angle K. Okay, so first I'm going to write down that given information, just that GHJN and JKLM are parallelograms. And that's given. Okay, so since that opens the door, right, to these lovely 4 theorems. Okay, so we have an angle here, so we're probably going to not pay attention to the ones with the sides and the diagonals, right? So we have the opposite angles are congruent, or we have the consecutive angles are supplementary. Which one do you think we're going to use? Does opposite angles help us? Does consecutive angles help us? Yes, I think that consecutive angles help us because we have some vertical angles here which are congruent to each other. So if this is supplementary and this is supplementary to the same angle, then those supplementary angles are congruent to each other by the congruent supplements theorem. Woohoo! All right, so let's write it down. So we're going to say that angle N and angle NJH are supplementary, and angle K and angle KJM are supplementary. And that's just if it's a parallelogram, then the consecutive angles are supplementary, right? And then we have those lovely vertical angles. So we're going to say angle NJH is congruent to angle KJM. NJH, this angle, and KJM, these angles are congruent because of the vertical angles theorem. And because these are supplementary to the same angle, therefore they are congruent to each other by the congruence supplements theorem. So we can say that angle N is congruent to angle K by the congruence supplements theorem. So if you got that one right, yokereikimashita, you did a wonderful job, and I will see you next time for the next lesson. All right, goodbye.